A very good morning, everyone. In this video, I'm going to discuss today's most important article that was published in Economic Times. And today's article title is The Mystery Plot Thickens, and it is written by Harsh Goenka, who is the present chairman of RPG Enterprises. So before I really go into the analysis part of this video, I would like to give you the outline that how this video has been formatted. So first I will discuss the context of this article. Secondly, I will discuss the vocabulary that I have come across while reading this article. And thirdly, I will discuss the organizations that are important in this article. And finally, I will discuss the analysis of this article. So starting with the context, so this article discusses about the long fight that is going between the Cyrus Mistry and the Tata Group. And finally, the NCLAT has taken decision in the favor of Cyrus Mistry. And this article basically discusses how what going to be the next step and how both the parties are going to handle the afterward decisions. And before because it basically talks about the after phase of this NCLT decision, I want to give a bit of a synopsis that why this fight was going between Cyrus Mistry and the Tata Group and why Cyrus Mistry got ousted in the first place. So the story goes way back in 2007 when there was a financial crisis at the global level. So at that time, lot of Indian firms were acquiring foreign firms, and so do the Tata Group. And Ratan Tata took the decision of acquiring UK firm Chorus. And when after a few years, Cyrus Mistry joined, and he saw that Chorus is making lot of losses, and finally he decided to undo the Ratan Tata's decision. So this really disappointed the Ratan Tata, not because Cyrus Mistry has actually reversed his previous decision, but because he was disappointed with the fact that by reversing his previous decision, UK's work is going to be laid off, and he was really concerned about that this decision going to impact Tata's image at the global level in a long run. So that was the first conflict of interest that Cyrus Mistry and Ratan Tata had. And later, there was another conflict that so Cyrus Mistry really wanted to expand the Tata business into the pizza business also because he was aware about the success of Starbucks when Tata Group acquired Starbucks India, and there was a huge success for this. So he really wanted to replicate the same business model into the pizza business as well. But again, there was a conflict of interest between Ratan Tata and the Cyrus Mistry because Ratan Tata was thinking at that time was this is going to be a huge jump, and pizza business is not really a Tata's type of business, and we don't actually. And the final conflict of interest was that before he was before he actually got ousted, he was proposing of expanding Tata's into the real estate business. Again, it was not the right of, or you can say the traditional business in which Tata was dealing. So there was a lot of conflict of interest behind the fight of Ratan Tata and Cyrus Mistry, and finally Ratan Tata got really upset, and because of a lot of conflict of interest, he finally decided to ousted Cyrus Mistry. So that was the whole story behind it, not the whole, but the crux of that story of why actually Cyrus Mistry got expelled in the first place. So now coming on to the vocabulary of this article. So I have able to find 17 words that I think are really important in this article. So starting with the first. So first is meander. Meander means to walk aimlessly or wander randomly. Second is amber. Amber means a small piece of burning or glowing coal or wood in a dying, so something that is smothered. Third is tumultuous. Tumultuous means confusing, a loud noise. Fourth is ouster. So ouster is something when someone get expelled from the position. So fifth is one edom, which is a bolt from the blue, which means suddenly an unexpected event. Sixth is reinstate. Reinstate to restoring someone to its previous position. Seventh is thoroughbred. Thoroughbred means someone who is thoroughly educated or thoroughly trained. Eighth is allegation. Eighth is allegation. Allegation means claiming someone that of doing something wrong without actually having the evidence. Ninth is overturn. Overturn means basically to abolish something. Tenth is prejudicial. Prejudicial means detrimental basically. 11th is concur. Concur means be of the same opinion or basically agree. Concur means agree. And 12th is again idiom. which is 12th is again idiom, which is offer the olive branch, which means to extend an offer or gesture of peace or to reconcile with someone. 13th is scion. Scions means here. 14th is upheaval, which means a violent or a sudden disruption or a violent change. 15th is vindicate. Vindicate means basically to clear someone from blame or suspicions. 16th means par. Par means to reduce something or basically to dwindle something. 17th is vanquish. Vanquish means to defeat someone thoroughly. So this was the vocabulary. So now coming on to the organization whose name I have come across while reading this article. So this organization is NCLAT or the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. So this organization basically hears appeals which has been challenged in NCLAT, which is the National Company Law Tribunal, and it also handles the cases which has been challenged in the IBC code, which is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So this is basically the crux of it. Now coming on to the final analysis. So author start by saying that as a corporate India meandered to the close of a rather forgettable 2019, the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal threw a few crackers into the dying amber in the form of a verdict that took everyone by surprise. Most Tata watchers had settled to a new life under Tata Sons chairman Rajan Chandrasekhan's leadership. The ship seems to have steadied itself after the tumultuous months following Cyrus Mistry's ouster as Tata Group chairman in 2000, as Tata Group chairman in late 2016. So obviously this decision of NCLAT is struck everybody as at a surprise because everybody was getting used to the new chairmanship of Tata Sen, which has come under the Natarajan Chandrasekhan, who was the former chairman of TCS. But this decision, when finally it came into the favor of Cyrus Mistry, everyone got surprised. He later goes on to explain that public memory is short, but court trial take their own course. Hence, when the NCLT order finally came early this week, it was a bolt from the blue for the public at large and an unexpected reversal of the Tata Group. The court has partially suspended the verdict for 4 weeks, considering the size of Tata Group and the need for smooth functioning of business. It is a tense few weeks ahead, which have the potential to spiral into a longer uncertainty. So, obviously, people or the public at large has started forgetting about this court case that has been already going between Ratan Tata and Cyrus Mistry. But court took its own time and finally came out of the blue. Though court has partially delayed its verdict for next 4 weeks, so coming future for the Tata Group will be uncertain. He later goes on to explain that nevertheless, Mistry is to be immediately reinstated on the board of Tata Sons and of the listed group companies. Lawyers will hold sway over the next few weeks, and while each side will pronounce their provincial superiority, the outcome could possibly be far more removed from their two positions. In no particular order of significance, let us look at the scenarios that could unfollow. So he's saying that now it is inevitable that Mistry going to be again the chairman of a Tata Sun and will be coming back into the firm in few weeks. And but there could be a lot of scenarios that could actually unfold after the decision. So he goes on to explain like around 5 scenarios that could actually follow in the coming weeks. So first is if a Supreme Court admits the appeal from an interim stay of the operation of a NCLAT order, the result of this would be an extensive period of uncertainty for the Tata Group leadership. It is not an easy seat to occupy with that kind of ambiguity in the air. Chandrasekhan, being a thoroughbred professional, will probably be able to handle it better than most people. Yet, given the size and the complexity of the Tata Group, every decision will have an added element of scrutiny, leading to delays and sometimes a suboptimal decision. So, as I said earlier, that NCLT's partial decision is still pending for the next 4 weeks. In the meantime, if Supreme Court puts a hold to the order of NCLT, so there will be more uncertainty, and the uncertainty period can be more extensive. And the company with this size and complexity, every decision will add a new element of scrutiny. There will be more delays, and the decisions which will be taken in the mean period will probably be suboptimal. Second scenario, he says that apex court gives a clear verdict overturning the NCLT judgment. In this case, it's a back to business as usual. It is, however, pertinent to note that the Supreme Court has, on a variety of occasions, reversed NCLT's orders. Recent instances include the case of JP Infra, Persol Steel, and Reliance Communication. The most important issue that will decide this outcome are the allegations of oppression of a minority, stakeholdership, mismanagement, and carrying out the actions that were prejudicial to the interest of companies, which the NCLT has repeatedly referred to in its judgment. The NCLT even went to the extent of saying that it would have been a fitter case for ordering a winding of Tata Sons had it not been for the economic implication of such a case. So, second scenario could be that Supreme Court entirely scrap off the judgment that has been given by NCLT and says that business will go as usual and Cyrus Mistry won't come again in the company. So, business will go on as usual because this scenario is also possible, and there has been a lot of instances where Supreme Court has actually override the judgment that was given by the NCLT, because we have seen these cases recently. For example, in JP Infra case, or Ursa Steel case, or Reliance Communications case. So there has been a few instances in the recent time where Supreme Court has actually override the judgment that was given by NCLAT. So this was another scenario. And third scenario was that the Supreme Court concurs with the NCLT and Mistry is firmly back in management. The scenario will be totally different to Mistry's previous tenure in office and will perhaps involve the biggest test of the Tata Group's character in how it accepts the prodigal son. Knowing the high standard that Tata have set for themselves, it is possible that they will offer an olive branch to Mistry and welcome him back, although with some period of discomfort and awkwardness. Unfortunately, in the present Tata board, there have been several who have been critical of the Mistry scion, and it may be difficult for them to bridge the divide and continue. This may lead to a lot of upheaval and uncertainty. So third scenario could be like that actually Supreme Court also get agree with the NCLT judgments and Mistry finally comes back into the management. So obviously this is a time when the Cyrus Mistry will come into the management. The environment around him will not be the same because there was a long fight going on between Ratan Tata and Cyrus Mistry. So things will entirely different this time, and he's saying that there will be a lot of awkwardness and discomfort for the initial period, obviously. And he's saying that unfortunately some of the board members of Tata are actually critical about the Sion son because Cyrus Mistry is the son of Panojis. So they are critical about the Cyrus Mistry. And if actually Cyrus Mistry decide to come into the management, there will be lot of discomfort in the initial phase, which is quite obvious. And fourth is Mistry, now that the land is vindicated and that he has won a moral victory, decides to graciously bow out from getting reinstated as a chairman of Tata Sons. So now fourth scenario could be that since even the Cyrus Mistry has won the case and he is free of all the allegations that was put on him. So but now even he has won the victory, and now instead of coming into the management, he can politely decline this offer of being again the chairman of Tata Sons. And fifth and final is the fifth and final scenario that has been proposed by the author is that he's saying that a reasonable solution in the long term for the Tata Group and for Mistry would be to arrive at a compromise settlement. No corporate wants any hurdle in its march ahead, neither does it want any tension in the boardroom. Moreover, Tata Son has found an able and professional chairman in Chandrasekharan. So the most reasonable solution for the Tata Group and the Mistry in the long run would be that they should come into a saddle point and arrive at a compromise settlement. So because it will going to be beneficial for the both the parties. And now because the Tata Son has already found a new chairman and who is like more experienced guy, so it will be a quite a reasonable scenario in this case. So finally he says that on the other hand, the Sapurchi Panoji group is looking to raise funds to par its debt. A stake sale can fetch it a handsome amount of money. The value of a Sapurchi Panoji's stake in Tata Son may be settled in cash or in stake sale of some of the Tata's companies, including possibly TCS or the Tata Consultancy Service. And finally, he closed the article by saying that unlike in war, where there must be a victor or a vanquished, resolution of a corporate battle can be achieved on a win-win formula. The leaders involved in this particular case are highly capable of arriving at an end game where the score line reads 1-1. So let's watch this space, shall we? So finally, he closed this article by saying that it was not like a war that has been going into the corporate level, and people who are involved in this fight are quite highly capable of arriving at a very reasonable saddle point, and they could like settle the whole fight on a win-win situation. So let's see how this whole thing will come out in the future. And I think I'm also done with this article, and now I'm signing off.